All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about the invisible dangers that are hiding all around us. Inside our smart homes, our cities, even our factories. We're talking about the Internet of Things, or IoT, and the biggest security threats that this super connected world is facing.
So, what if your smart fridge could launch a cyber attack? I know, it sounds like a joke or something straight out of a sci fi movie, right? But here's the reality. Any device that's hooked up to the internet, whether it's your watch or a sensor in a power plant, can be a target. And sometimes it can even become the weapon. So, before we get into the nitty gritty of the threats, we've got to get a handle on just how big this whole thing is. All that convenience we get from our smart devices, well, it comes with a hidden cost. And believe me, the stakes are way higher than you might think. Now, when we say IoT security, it's not just one simple thing. It's really a whole strategy, a defense in layers. First up, you have device protection. That's all about locking down the physical gadget itself. Then there's network security, which is about protecting the conversations between all those devices. And finally, you've got data integrity, which just means making sure the information they're sending back and forth is safe and hasn't been tampered with. And why is this so incredibly important? Well, because one tiny weak link can set off a massive, and I mean massive, ripple effect. We're not just talking about your Wi-Fi getting slow. We're talking about real threats to our power grids and city infrastructure. We're talking huge financial hits and companies being forced to shut down. See, every unsecured device is like an open door into a network, and attackers can string them all together to create these giant botnets, basically zombie armies of hacked devices, to take down huge websites and services. And here's the thing that really hits home. This isn't just about data getting stolen. When these smart devices are connected to physical things, like industrial machines or the power grid, a digital problem can turn into a real-world physical disaster. It's a direct bridge from the online world to our actual physical safety. Okay, so we get it. The stakes are high. Now, let's roll up our sleeves and get into the specifics. How are these attackers actually getting in? We're about to unpack some of the biggest, most common threats, the ones you absolutely have to know about. Okay, so risk number one is, believe it or not, ridiculously simple: weak passwords. So many of these devices come straight from the factory with a password like admin or 12345. It's actually how the infamous Mirai botnet happened. Hackers took over hundreds of thousands of devices using just a few of these default passwords. It is literally the digital version of leaving your front door wide open with a sign that says, "Come on in." The fix? You guessed it. Get rid of those defaults and use strong multi-factor authentication. All right, next up, we have a huge one: unencrypted data. I want you to picture this. Imagine writing your bank account details on the back of a postcard and then mailing it. Anyone who gets their hands on it can read everything. Well, that's basically what happens when an IoT device sends information without scrambling it first through encryption. And this is how easy it is for them. It's called a man-in-the-middle attack. Just look at step 2. The attacker basically wedges themselves in between the device and the network and just listens in. Because that data isn't locked down, as you see in step 3, they can just snatch everything: passwords, private info, you name it, right out of thin air. Then we've got this silent vulnerability: outdated firmware. You know how it is. A lot of these devices are installed and then completely forgotten about. They're left running old software with security holes that everybody, including the bad guys, has known about for years. Attackers absolutely love this because it's like someone handed them a blueprint of all the device's weak spots. So, next on our list are two risks that are basically cousins, numbers 4 and 5. First, as you see up top, you have insecure network services. Just think of these as a bunch of extra, unlocked doors on the device that don't need to be there. The fix is obvious: lock and shut the doors you're not using, and put up a firewall. The second one is insufficient access controls. This is a big one. It means if an attacker gets through just one door, they basically have the master key to the whole building. By setting up role-based controls, you make sure that even if someone gets in, they can only go into the one room they're supposed to be in, and that's it. Okay, so we've looked at the problems, and honestly, it can seem a little scary. But enough about what can go wrong. How do we actually fight back? This next part is all about the blueprint, the game plan for building a really strong defense. And the key is to be proactive, not just waiting around for something bad to happen. The absolute foundation of any good security plan starts with the device itself. I mean, before you even think about connecting it to the internet, you have to make sure that thing is locked down and configured to be as tough as possible. So, what does that actually look like? Well, it breaks down into 4 must-do practices. First, encrypt all the data. Not just the stuff being sent, but the data stored on the device too. Second, if you need to access it remotely, use secure encrypted connections. Third, you have to implement that strong multi-factor authentication we keep talking about. And finally, and this is so important, security is not a set it and forget it deal. You have to check up on it regularly. Okay, so once the device itself is hardened, the next layer you need to think about is the environment it lives in. That means protecting the network it's on, and of course, having a solid plan for keeping its software updated.
So, how do you do that? Well, one of the smartest things you can do is network segmentation. Basically, you put all your IoT gadgets on their own separate network, kind of like a guest Wi-Fi network. That way, if one smart bulb gets hacked, the infection can't spread to your laptop or your work computer. It's contained. You also need to keep an eye out for any weird activity, use a secure VPN for remote access, and I can't say this enough, you have to have a system for applying those security patches. And what about the data that's actually on the device? Here's a super clear 4-step process. First, just know what sensitive data is on there in the first place. Step 2, encrypt it and keep the keys safe. 3, make sure any backups you make are also being transmitted and stored securely. And finally, number 4, have a clear plan for how long you keep data and how you get rid of it for good when you don't need it anymore. So, let's bring this all home. As all these smart devices get woven deeper and deeper into our daily lives, locking them down isn't just some problem for the IT department anymore. This is about securing our future for all of us. If you only remember a few things from our chat today, make it these 4 points. 1, security has to be proactive. You can't wait until after you've been attacked. 2, you need a complete multi-layered approach. Secure the device, the network, and the data. 3, it's an ongoing process. Updates and monitoring never stop. And finally, 4, we have to balance all the cool new things this tech can do with the responsibility to use it safely. And that really leaves us with one big question to chew on. The potential of this connected world is just incredible. There's no doubt about it. But real progress means making sure that as our technology gets smarter, we and our world are also getting safer. Thanks for joining me.